Hello and welcome back to Stop and Go F1, or should I say Stop and Go F3, because here we are for the first video of the day on the Formula 3 at the Monaco Grand Prix. Wow, it rhymes. That must make it good. And it was good to be fair. The sprint, less so. The feature, much better. We'll get into all of that. But like I said, we'll have coverage all throughout today. Not only of F3, but we'll have F2 in about an hour or so. Then later on this afternoon, we'll be covering all things Formula 1. So make sure you subscribe for that. But let's get into the Formula 3, because it was Nicolas Solov on pole for the sprint with Van Hoopen alongside. Someone to pay attention to is James Headley, who is further down the grid, but I still think did a fantastic job. He was filling in for Zagazzetta, who was struck with appendicitis during the week and was in hospital. So James Headley, having never driven a Formula 3 car and never driven around Monaco, called up last minute to take part in the race. You know, he wasn't up in the high point scoring positions, but I think even just to compete in these races is worth celebrating on such short notice. So fantastic from James Headley this weekend. Off the start, though, we have Tim Tramnitz up to P2. Solov gets away very well, though, from pole position to keep the lead. And up into Casino Square, there is a huge crash involving 6 different cars. This brings out the safety car, of course. It looks like what happened was Lindblad was alongside Christian Mansell, then went to pull out to turn back in to take the corner, hit Mansell, didn't see him there. They both went into the barrier, and then, it's lap 1, everyone's just coming through there side by side, so there's this huge domino effect, which leads to 6 cars along the side of the Casino Square out of the race. This does bring out the safety car, but it does eventually get turned to a red flag, because it's proving that it was actually very difficult to get rid of these 6 cars, because Dunn and Mansell's car were stuck together, and as was Dufek and Lindblad. Their cars also stuck together. I've never seen that happen before. There was marshals trying to rip the cars apart, and they just weren't coming apart. Especially the ones of Dunn and Mansell, not coming apart at all. At one point, they tried getting 2 separate cranes and attached a crane to each car and pulled them apart, and it still wasn't working. These cars were so stuck together, they eventually kind of just roll this off the side while still connected together, which is kind of mad. But yeah, that red flag was quite a long one. They elect to have a rolling start for the restart of the race, which I understand, because I think, with Formula 2, Formula 3, there are certain time constraints, because we know the F1 is coming eventually, and that has to start on time. So a rolling start is far more safe than a standing start. I think if it had been F1, they would have gone for a standing start. But yeah, I understand why they went for the rolling start. Solov restarts well and is able to keep the lead. We get a few penalties here now. Firstly, 10-second penalty for Sophia Flörsch for leaving the track and gaining advantage. And then a 5-second penalty for James Headley for speeding in the pit lane. And then, unbelievably, Infra Puzizak has done an overtake on James Headley for P20. Fantastic. But then Stanek is out on lap 13 with a puncture. This brings out the safety car again. Sophia Flörsch has a big broken wing as well. I can't exactly remember what happened there. I think that those 2 years did come together. I haven't made the note there. Sorry about that one. It says the safety car is ending on lap 15, but this turns out to be a lie, because they redeploy the safety car immediately. Flörsch retires her car, and the safety car ends for real this time on lap 16. Solov keeps the lead well, but does not get away as well as he did on the first time, and that gap is just not there. Solov falls off massively. Tramnitz, who's in P2, he falls off massively off the back of Solov throughout this lap. So Solov not getting a good getaway, but his initial lap is very good. And by the end of that first lap after the restart, Solov has a lead of 1.5 seconds. Further back, Bedrin retires the car. Solov in the lead, though, is noted for weaving. And an interesting move here. His team basically tell him that he already has a penalty of 5 seconds and to push and make a gap. And on lap 19 of 23, he has a 2.6 second lead, so he needs to double that to avoid a penalty. So that was quite exciting towards the end to see if he could build up that gap to avoid the penalty. But on lap 20 of 23, we are told there's no further investigation, so actually he's fine. Megatunif, something went wrong here for him. Bad weekend for him overall, none of which was his fault. On lap 21 and 23, we see him going very slowly. And then a little bit later on, we see he's just stopped in the pit lane entry and can't move the car. If this had happened earlier in the race, it could have led to something quite exciting, but thankfully we're near the end of the race here, and it was okay as Solov crosses the line to take the win. Tramnitz is P2, Van Hoopen P3, Noel Leon in P4, Loke P5, Boyer P6, Boganovic P7, Luke Browning in 8th, Fornaroli 9th, and Ollie Gerfer taking that final point in P10. And then moving across to the F3 feature race from this morning, it is Gabriele Mini on pole, Christian Mansell alongside him in P2, and as for those in the top 3 of the championship, Fornaroli was 5th, Browning was 3rd, and Boganovic was 6th. It is a fantastic start for Christian Mansell, but Gabriele Mini is able to keep the lead from the start of the race. Wirtz is in the wall just before the tunnel. This brings out the safety car. On replay, it looks like he was just yeeted by Wisnicki into the wall there. Not much he could do. Safety car comes in on lap 3, and we get a penalty for Wisnicki for causing that collision. Further back, Bedrin has a puncture, but at the lead of the race, Mansell is all over the back of Mini's car, as he will be for pretty much the majority of the race. There are moments where he kind of falls back, seemingly to maybe look after his tyres a little bit, but he's always pretty much on the back of Mini throughout the entire race. Loke is able to get past Boyer for P9 on lap 6. There's a 10-second penalty for Stenshorn for leaving the track and gaining an advantage. Loke locks up over the chicane and then gives the position back to Boyer. Nice little fight between these two. Further back though, Van Hoopen gets past Leon for P10 after a lovely dive bomb just before Mirabeau, just before the hairpin. Now, Loke, having this fight with Boyer, his tyres are gone now. His tyres are completely gone. Since Boyer got past him a lap earlier, Boyer now has a 3-second lead in just one lap. And there is a huge queue behind Joseph Loke now for the rest of this race. There is another big crash here between Megatunif, Solov, and Noel Leon. They're all in the wall after Mirabeau. This brings out the safety car. Solov and Leon are able to get going again, but Megatunif is out. From the replay, it looks like Solov went for a dive bomb on Leon. It didn't work out, and those two hitting each other kind of blocked Megatunif, who had nowhere else to go but into that wall. There is a penalty given out to Solov for causing that collision, and the safety car comes in on lap 23 of 27. Mini's able to get away well, but Mansell's still on the back of him. Loke now, whose tyres are completely gone, and the safety car has not helped at all. He loses 2 places in half a lap. Then, into the chicane, Van Hoopen goes for a move around the outside, locks up and cuts the chicane. Then, as he goes into Tabak, he looks like he's trying to give the position back to Loke, offering up the inside line, but just doesn't leave himself enough space, and he is in the wall, bringing out a safety car again. The safety car ends on lap 27 of 27, so it is a 1-lap shootout for the win here in Monaco. Mini weaving down the street as he gets away off the restart to keep the lead. I don't think that was noted, but he definitely did weave. Maybe it wasn't too dramatic and he was okay there, but he does keep the lead. Further back, Dunn does a fantastic move around the outside of Mirabeau for P17, but as we cross the line, it is Gabriele Mini who takes the win, his first win of the year and his second win in Monaco Formula 3, and with that he is the new championship leader, so fantastic for him there. As a guy who I'm a big fan of, this year has been a bit mixed for him, but it looks like, he's got it in the right order now. He's now leading the championship, and he's definitely a contender for the rest of the year. Christian Mansell, a fantastic P2, wonderful podium for him. I feel like, any other track, and maybe he could have won, but, we know how difficult it is to overtake here. Luke Browning in P3, another consistent result for him, fantastic stuff. A great P4 for Arvid Lindblad, Fornaroli in 5th, Boganovic in P6, Mali Boyer is 7th, Tim Tramnitz in 8th, Loke makes it to P9, and Ollie Gerfer now in P10, the only driver in Formula 3 so far this year who has scored points at every race weekend. So there you go. A good weekend of Formula 3, and as for my star of Formula 3, I'm giving it to Gabriele Mini, fantastically controlling the feature race to take the win in Monaco yet again. So there you go, that is it for Formula 3 for this weekend. We'll be back in a little bit to talk all things Formula 2. Then I think the next Formula 3 race might be Spain. I'll have to double check that. But yeah, we'll be back for that one as well. So let me know what you thought of this race in the comments, and we're back in a little bit. I'll see you then.